Hi there. Um, Welcome to the high stakes circus where you have to record something really good up front and make sure that the recording goes well and make sure that your charisma is not unfounded and isn't pretentious. Pretentious. Make sure that you don't have pretentious charisma um, in life. And take things seriously. Be serious about what you need to be serious about. It's just that there's a certain amount of seriousness that exists in the world. There's a lot of people that are walking around like making it known that they are serious and to be taken seriously. And I'd say that the world maybe just has a sort of like a seriousness problem where everybody in the world needs to be taken seriously, and then especially as they get older they engage in these serious matters. Maybe it's like having a family, maybe it's joining a religion. There's just a certain amount of seriousness that pervades society, and it's to the point that people are like not joking is what's weird about it. People are like not joking that you could joke, that you wouldn't be able to joke about somebody's kids or somebody's spouse or somebody's job. Like, people are taking things seriously actually, and when they get older they take it more seriously. Like when people get older they act like seriousness is their job, but like literally in work environments. um I hope that this is recording. The last one I did, the recording sounded bad for some reason, so I didn't check this one. I know I said at the very end of the last episode I was gonna have a guest on, and he is moving in, so he's busy this week. But so I'll get to that where I have a guest on here eventually, but it's not really a big deal. Like, I I would just like to talk about when people take things seriously, and then that's very serious for them. Like people are taking these seriously. Like people's jobs are always to be taken seriously, and like the whole everything about a work environment is serious. Like this is a seriousness problem that exists in society, is that all the jobs are supposed to be taken seriously. Like you're always on the verge of being fired. Like, oh, you didn't turn in a good day at work, and this does not look good for you. This does not look good. This set of actions that you did and what you did this day, you're not leaving a good impression on the boss or on the supervisor, and this does not look good for you at the company. Like do if you don't look good at every moment. So it's like looking good is kind of serious, and wearing the right clothes is serious. Wearing the uniform that you need to for an environment is serious. Like taking the environment seriously enough that you wear the right clothes in a serious environment. Like it's important to be serious, and people are like having professions in some senses just to be serious. People are getting married to be serious in some senses because people need to be taken seriously. And like relatively more so, I would be a joker then. If I'm not somebody who takes things seriously, then I am relatively more a joker. And that's serious. You have to take that seriously. I'm a joker, and that's serious. I'm not the Joker because that's a fictional character. I think that people get carried away sometimes thinking that TV and movies happen in real life, or that like somebody somebody is like taking on the role of a Joker or something. They're like, oh, are you the Joker, in case you don't take things seriously? But it's like it's only a person that is taking things seriously that would label somebody as the Joker, because they are concerned with identifying people to fictional characters that exist as sensationalized points of reference. Like the only reason somebody might equate you to a fictional character is because they're concerned with putting you into a box of some sort, or like. But I mean, you can do this just with an adjective. Like like the ideal autistic person is also a fictional character. It like that people throw around like that you're autistic or something. Like it's easy to be autistic today because autistic can kind of apply to anything. But like anybody can label you as autistic, and like in doing so they're kind of referring to an amalgam of images that they know of autistic people. I mean, like not everybody idealizes the thing that they're calling you. It's not always like that. Like some people are accurately calling you something, and they can't be perfect, so they have to use points of reference that are at least slightly more sensational because that's all that we have, because positions in the world are always more sensational. Like they're always slightly more sensational because they aren't abstract. Like there's form to it. There's form to a company like Valvoline, that they take a certain position, they deal in a certain medium, in a certain realm, fixing cars. And like a position is sensational because it is like too much given over to one area, like sensational because whatever area, because I have a position. But if you're like a really random ass person, I'd say every person is also a position because they're like a point of reference for you. The people there, it's like a network of people, and they're all different points of reference. They have different positions because they offer different things, or like whatever's coming out of their mouth is just like the set of things that is that person. I think that people are all different from each other, I would say, or at least this is how I look at things, or I would find this valuable, and this is my position. I find it valuable to differentiate between people, but like at some levels, and then in some ways you see them as the same. It's just like whatever ways I see everybody as the same, and the ways that I see everybody as different are specific to my position. And it's just like whatever's coming out of a person's mouth, this is sensational to them because like it's it's sensational that somebody would be that much of who they are, that much of one person, but any one person is that much of themselves all the time. And so that's kind of sensational. And so people are sensations. And so you don't need to find the famous person or the talented person because everybody is already famous to some extent. Like everybody's already known for what they are. Everybody is already a phenomenon because it is a phenomenon. But this like sounds kind of motivational, or like I'm just really like breathing a lot of positivity into humanity or something. And so there's no reason to backtrack on breathing positivity into a situation. Like this sounds like self-help. Like then that's good if you're helping people. Like you don't have to label something as self-help just because it sounds like, but I spent a lot of time thinking, what labels am I under, or like giving too much credit to a perception. And this isn't helpful for me, isn't helpful for anybody, and it doesn't get my message across. It doesn't say anything about the sensation that I am or about my position when I am giving too much credit and respect to other people's positions, other possible eventualities, other possible categorizers for what it might come across that I am. Like me speaking in other people's words. This is not entertaining. And and so I'm not but seriousness, like the thing is, if you're a zookeeper, like don't come up to me and try to tell me like, oh yeah, I'm a zookeeper, or not a zookeeper necessarily, just someone who works at the zoo. Like if you come up to me and you're like, yeah, I work at the zoo and that's what I do, put in a 9 to 5 at the zoo, like you can't be serious. You can't be serious. That is my response to you, because you have to approach that with some amount of self-deprecation because you work at a zoo. Like this is silly, right? It's funny that you work at a zoo at least. Like you are like you're seriously coming at me. Like if you work at a zoo, and not just like there's it's bad enough that you would have a summer job at a zoo, or take that seriously, or like take a zoo seriously enough that you would apply for a job at it. Like that's bad enough that you would work at a zoo. But like that you would then identify to it and be like, that's where I'm working. Like there's no way you can expect me to take that seriously or be like, yeah, definitely like totally your work the same way everything else is work. Like I would have a hard enough time taking work seriously out of somebody that that they would try to identify themselves through their career or say that that's what's significant about them. I already don't take that seriously because you can't be serious. You can't be serious that what's important about you is the work art genre, or it's just that the art genre of working at a giant company, I'm not interested in it, or I don't find it artistic that I would want to listen to words coming out of your mouth as a result of like, oh, this is who I am. I work at this company. And so um I think I'm going to quit my job in like a month maybe or so. But this is just speculation. You don't want to say that because then there's horror stories about like Twitter, like you post on social media and then your job fires you for finding out that you aren't the most loyal employee and that kind of thing. Like there's horror stories that circulate about like somebody tweeted about, I'm not so sure about this job I just got, and then the job fires them even though they just got it because they're like, oh yeah, you're not a serious employee, because the strictness is at some places is overblown. But obviously that's a media narrative. Like if you take LSD you're going to jump out a window and kill yourself. Like it's sensationalized, not true kind of. I mean, that's just an example of a media narrative that sensationalizes stigma to drive home their point. Like if you take LSD you're not going to jump out of a window is what I'm telling you. This is a myth. There's like myths, like I think it's a myth, and so the media tries to perpetuate these myths and scare you into staying in your house. And they are like they're the same for everything. Like they're going to tell you to not do things, like the local media especially that has authority over snowstorms in your area, that they're like the moderators of the weather in your area. They control the weather. They are God for the weather in your area. The local news, they're going to treat a homicide the same way they do a blizzard, because, well, first of all, do not do something always results in the same result, no matter what the do not do is. Like you can come up with a whole array of areas of things that you're not doing. Like do not turn on the lamp, do not go to the speedway, do not go to the ball game, do not swim in the lake, do not swim in the ocean. You can come up with all kinds of different areas, like do not run the stop sign, things that you do not do. If you do not do them, they all result in the same thing. They all result in no change for you in that area. On the other hand, all of these areas that you mentioned, if you do all of those, if you do any one of those, this presents you the possibility to change in infinite areas. There are infinite different ways to change if you do something. The result for doing is different in every situation. The result for not doing is the same in every. It's so do not is kind of like the same message. Like it's always a rule. It's always an authority. It's always a rule. And the local news only deals in rules for you, and they are telling you to do the same thing. They're telling you in all of their news, like especially local news, to not change your behavior. That they're telling you that what happens over the course of the day is something that should result in no change for your life, because you shouldn't go outside because there's homicide. You shouldn't go outside because there's a blizzard, or you shouldn't drive on the road because you'll get in a car accident, or there's too many drunk drivers. And they overblow all of these things to the point that it's irrational the amount that they say that there's the worry for drunk drivers. Like obviously that's a worry, but they like to build up phenomena around an image of a pint of beer next to a set of keys and tell you that like this is what's going to kill you. Like beer keys got another one. Beer keys, like that's the image they show. They're as if this is what's killing people, but they're just like, don't you understand the connection of these images? But they're putting that on the screen next to like like manslaughter, homicide. Like somebody kills you in a drunk driving accident, this is a huge mistake on the part of this person. Like they're worthy of jail time for manslaughter. Like this is a serious thing. But the news is concerned with just pitching to you fear of driving And so they throw up a set of keys, like as if the people that aren't drunk driving are just as much responsible, or just drivers themselves, or beer drinkers themselves are responsible. They throw up a pint of beer and a set of keys for images for whenever they run a drunk driving story, like but just to build fear in you of going outside at all. So it's like if you watch enough of these, it just becomes a bad trip of the same regurgitated, repetitive images, the same way that the Christian church is. And like, but just the images there are, it's like, sorry, I went to the Christian church. I apologize. There is not a lot of anti-Christian literature. It's because people understand that it's hypocritical to criticize a specific religion. It's almost like you are framing yourself it's almost like you're part of the religion. So there's this show called Moral Oral, and that is specifically against evangelical Christianity. It's like one of the only pieces of that's out there. And I like it. That's a really good show. But like the Christian church, I forget why I got into that, but it's just like people take you seriously. I got worried about what I was saying about Christians because they take things seriously. That's what happened, and then I got thrown off my train of thought, so I need to think about, what do I need to do to engage in seriousness of, man, what was I on about? Oh, well, it's okay. I'll work my way back to it, I guess. Just that I need to watch out. I need to make sure that I'm being serious and taking myself seriously and participating in the seriousness of the situation for Christians, because I know a lot of Christians, and so I need to engage in their reality, and so speak in their terms. But it's like I'm so saturated with Christianity at this point because everybody I know for like such a long time is Christian. Like as a result of the life I'm living now, I know a lot of Christians. Like it is impossible to not speak in some Christian terms or refer to it. But like Christianity, they'll take things seriously, and it's just a matter of like there's serious things about it, and what's to be taken seriously. And my stance is that a lot of what happens in the Christian church, or like people that are Christians that need to stay there, a lot of that has to do with seriousness. I would say more so than it has to do with Jesus. I think that it is about seriousness, like the idea. Not that Christians do that on purpose, it's just that the evangelical Christianity, like the things that make you stay there, like if you're Christian, that you are doing things to stay there, like you take it seriously, that is about seriousness. But the things that keep you in there are things that last a really long time, like things that last your entire life, or for your entire afterlife, your entire like unknown existence, and your entire known existence. These are the things that need to be taken seriously about Christianity. But like, of course this is serious because it's things that last the longest amount of time that are to be taken the most seriously, or are the most serious, are the most like continually relevant arguments, like proving themselves serious all the time. The things that are proving themselves serious are the things that last the longest, and or just like consistently. This is something that the Christian church does. But like as a Christian, the things that keep you in there are like things having to do with God are like eternal, or they last forever. And it's kind of like the only reason that you do something forever, like say I have to be a Christian for my entire life because it has to be taken seriously. The reason you do things like that is to emphasize the seriousness of it. Like it would not be serious if it didn't last that long. If you didn't have to be a Christian, if you didn't have to follow the rules, if you didn't have to talk to Jesus seriously, then it wouldn't be serious. But the thing is, every time that you, like if you're a Christian enough that you're taking it seriously, the important part is that you're taking it seriously, more so than that you're worshiping Christ. Because every time that you talk to Christ, if you take it seriously enough, like if you're gonna stay in the religion, it's because you're taking it seriously, like that you're gonna go to hell for eternity, whatever. But anytime that you talk to Jesus, you have to take it seriously in Christianity. You have to talk to Jesus seriously if you're really part of the religion. And so every relational thing you do with Jesus is dependent on seriousness. And it's dependent on seriousness more so than it's dependent on Jesus, because there is not an instant that happens with Jesus that is, you have to pray to him and talk to him seriously, no matter what. It's all about taking it seriously. But it's like you take it seriously so that you have a story for other people, but everybody in the world is just coming up with serious stories like, this is my job, this is my profession, like because they're insecure about not being, because they're like, well, now you have to take me seriously because I have this job or I have this religion. Like, well, now I'm serious. Or like, because they need to be taken seriously because people think that being taken seriously is what life is, or like, this is what's mature, is being serious. But like, I would argue there are better avenues for maturity, like trying to find ways in which we can all be more connected or have like more open lines of communication so that we are doing things to try to be on each other's side rather than doing everything in the name of being serious, because this is what people do as they get older, especially because when you get older you recognize and become aware of how serious like America is, how serious the environment is, like the need to be at least this much successful or have these good of finances or just have a story in life. If you don't have any of the financial sides of it, it's very serious that you have a story, and like you need to take your story seriously, and you need to really be involved in that. You need to be confident in your story, and it needs to be like really a part of you. You need to be confident in your story, and it's just kind of like a respect. It's like what I was saying about respect, like seriousness. People are doing things in the name of like, well, you have to give respect in order to get it, or like, this is exactly how it works. Like, how do you expect to be taken seriously if you don't take anything seriously? Because we all put in the time to take something seriously, and what are you doing if you're not? But like, because you put in the time to take something seriously, but people are serious about these things. That's what I can't get over. People are serious about their shit. Like, they act like this is serious. They act like it's to be like, they act like I'm supposed to take seriously that they had a baby or something like that when I'm not in their life, or like I'm supposed to care about somebody's baby or somebody's wife, or like when I don't. And it's like, there are some people that just don't necessarily take things seriously. And this isn't Christian people, like it's not like Christian people are people that really take things seriously. And that's what I'm saying. My point is not about like anger at the church, because the church does a lot in the name of being serious, or like, you go to church and then you have to say the right things because the entire environment is like, you're taking your friends seriously, or something like that. Like, you take your friends seriously. But like, I would say that Christians, maybe more so than other people, don't take things seriously, and this is why they end up in the Christian church. I don't really know the life path for somebody who doesn't start off Christian and then gravitates toward it, like enters into it in their 20s or 30s. I don't understand the motivation behind that at all. But maybe it goes something like, you get older and you're not a Christian, and then all the people in your life are on their high horse, and they're like your friends, or they get involved in something that they're taking too seriously, or like they start a family and then they're like, look, I have a story now, I am to be taken seriously. When it didn't used to be that way when you were younger, because you would recognize that people are bullshitting at the end of the day, that they would try to sell you on like, this about my life is to be taken seriously, because the person themselves is to be taken seriously. It's like that you would need to send it through a medium that like, then the rest of the world, it's just that seriousness becomes a problem when people act like you're supposed to take their shit seriously, but they do this, like, this happens just regularly, like this is just a part of life or of culture, is that like how seriously people take things. and like to the point that other people are calling you serious. Like, people are calling you sensitive for not taking their things seriously when they are more sensitive than you. Like, this is what gets reported back to you. A person who's more of a joker, if you don't participate so much in people's serious things, or like, but what I'm saying is, like, I do this naturally, and it is also the case, unfortunately, that there's no amount of like persuading that's going to get me to take your thing seriously, because like, if I already don't, I don't. But there's probably a lot of people that are like that. They're just tired of taking other people's shit seriously or living in this world. And that's, people are complaining and have a lot of angst about, like, oh, people suck, everyone sucks. These are people who don't like the seriousness of a situation, and they, like, if you don't participate in one of the serious games, the rest of the serious people get to be like, oh, well, you don't take things seriously, because the game is seriousness and it's carried out by everybody, whether it be through your career. And it's not just Christians. And like, the serious people will hold it over, not serious people will hold it over their heads that they are sensitive, when it is the serious people that are sensitive. Like, you are insensitive if you don't take things seriously or don't take people's lives seriously. But like, maybe you are just sensitive to something more particular, like who the person is, rather than what they're trying to sell you as. It's just that say that they are serious about. It's just that people take things so seriously that you can't even have a conversation with them, because they are only talking to you not about themselves, but about the bullshit that they are taking seriously that obviously doesn't matter. But like, people are intelligent. They know that things aren't actually that serious. They just get really involved in what they are saying is serious at some point, or they commit to a contract of sorts where they have to continually engage with the environment that they've signed up to be serious in. And so they always have to be serious, and then over time this causes them to take things very seriously, because they're very saturated with the game of seriousness, like, the longer that they do it. And it's just like, the longer you're doing something, the more serious it is, because the more you've just like sacrificed in that area and devoted your time to it, it does become serious. It does become serious at some point. So it's like, it's just that there's this maturity that's associated with it, that it's like, you're mature when you get older, you take things seriously. And that's not true, because maturity describes a peak. It doesn't describe adulteration. It doesn't describe getting older. Getting older is adulteration, because it describes adulterating yourself, like, in some sense, bastardizing yourself by getting involved in matters that you can't escape from, that you are undeniably identified to. Like, you become identified to things, you become adulterated over time. This is aging. But this is not maturity. Maturity is a peak, and so it is symmetrical to old age and young age. It is in the middle. It is not biased. It should not be biased toward the old or the young. Maturity. And I would argue that it is people that take things too seriously that are less mature, especially because these people report back to you that you are sensitive because you're not agreeing with them about their environment that they're saying is special, when it isn't special. Like, a person by themselves is sensational, more so than some set of circumstances that they constructed to tell you that they're special. And so I would say that people have a seriousness problem, where they, like, because I don't get involved, and then I look insensitive for, like, maybe responding insensitively. I don't know. People act like, so it's like, what sensitivity is just a loaded word. It's that people hold that over you, like they take that seriously. That it's just that, here's what I'm describing. Anybody who calls somebody else sensitive is sensitive. more so than the person they're calling sensitive, because you don't have any. What reason do you have to call somebody sensitive, to put somebody in a box like that? Because that's kind of a loaded term. You would call somebody sensitive, like, why are you taking things seriously? This is my question. Why are you serious? Why did that anybody would need to be anything, especially sensitive? Why are you being serious? Why are people serious that they label people thing? They call somebody something, but they're like serious about it, because people do say things without joking about it. People do say things seriously, and a lot of times they act like it's a joke. But the people who are like, "Oh, I'm always joking," they're serious, like some of the time. And it's like that. It's often people that take things the most seriously, that are like, all of their shit is coded in like, oh, this is just a joke, but they're being serious about because they are taking the time to say it. But it's just, some people don't care about being wrong, and some people are wrong already. Some people are objectively wrong, and some people are objectively right. Like, it isn't something that you need to argue over to figure out who is wrong and who is right, because there are right people and there are wrong people. This is a naturally occurring thing. You don't need to nobody needs to start all these arguments to figure out who's, just in the name of who's right and who's wrong. Oh, I proved you wrong. I won an argument against you. Nobody needs to do that, because there are people already that are right, people that are wrong. The only reason that you're getting involved in an argument for, like, to figure out if you were right or wrong is, like, the only people that are wrong ever are the people that are trying to be right and just posing things forward, putting forward like progressive areas of thought or new ideas or original thought. The only people that are ever wrong are the people that are convinced that they're wrong by the objectively wrong people when they are right to put out ideas. Like, that you're putting things out, but it's just that the wrong people will call these things conspiracies and shit like that. Like, the wrong, so it's like I'm making it a left versus right thing, right? The right, I might say that the right are more objectively right, but it's because they are concerned with being right. The left is concerned with being wrong. There are people that are wrong, and they like perverting what is right. They like to deal in what's wrong. They like to say words that are slanderous, and because they don't care about the words, and they don't care about the way things sound. They don't care about perverting words, because maybe they're more concerned with the way that something looks. So they're like, fuck it, I like wrong. There are people that like wrong. You don't need to get involved in these arguments to figure out if you're right or wrong. If you're putting out anything original at all, if you're putting out something new, this is what is objectively right, I would say. If you did something new, this is what's right. And it's like, you gearing yourself toward putting out something new, you are trying to do something that's different from everybody else. You are wrong if it is too similar to something that already happened. For in the area of like something that you would create or invent, it is wrong if it is like something too much. Like, if it's too definable to something else that somebody created, this is wrong for what you made. This makes you wrong. What makes you right is if you made something new. Not it doesn't make you right to repeat knowledge that already exists. This makes you the same as other people. And so, yeah, this makes you the same as opposed to different. It is not, because this is what makes you right. This is why the richest person in the world is never wrong. Like, what could you say that Jeff Bezos does that's wrong? Like, obviously the whole thing is wrong, or it's just like petty that he would get involved in money so much. Obviously it's petty, but it's like, as long as things are done in the name of success, you don't get to say like he's doing something wrong, because everything he did was like correct, but everything he did was like new valuable, new functions that existed in the world, you know? So it's like, obviously there's something like wrong about it, but it's like, because it's not like things done in the name of success, or like success or constant improvement is the greatest thing. But like, in the name of being right, what would you say was, how could you disagree with the richest person in the world when they got that way by but it's because they did new things, but provably new things. You don't get to call the person wrong who made all of the most money possible of the things that they made. But like, I'm not trying to advocate for lots of money or whatever. Doesn't matter. That part of it doesn't matter. It's just that like that people would take something seriously so much. But like, so I don't know the path of somebody who joins a Christian church in their 20s or 30s. I feel like maybe it might be that somebody who joins a Christian church is pissed at people in their life that are like, oh, you need to take me seriously now. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to join Christianity. And what about my story then? Looks like I take part in the greatest story ever. The story of the guy that died and then rose again. Like, oh, and as long as we're all doing things in the name of taking something seriously, this is why I say, like, I think Christians actually don't take things seriously. I think Christianity, the Christian church, is more a place for outcasts and misfits. And this is traditionally what the idea of Christ champions this. Anyway, you already recognize. Christ champions the outcast. And, but it's like outcasts are people who don't take things seriously naturally. And then they are like, oh yeah? Well, we're gonna have the best story ever as long as we're doing things in the name of having the best story, taking things seriously. The story of Christ, like you can hold that story over anybody because you're like, you're not gonna rise from the dead. So what's so great about your family or your career? Is that gonna save you from being born, dying, and rising again, or whatever? And so there might be some vengefulness as the reason why somebody joins a church. You're like, oh yeah, no, I have the best fucking story. Fuck you. Like, I don't know, that's a possibility. But that you would take something seriously. Like, I would say overall that, though, Jesus' death isn't that serious because he rose again. He rose again. Like, it's not serious that he died. Like, Christians are like, Jesus died for me. And like, Jesus died for me. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't, as if a person wouldn't die for somebody else. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. People are like, Jesus died for me. But it's not that big a deal because he rose again. Like, if I died for you, I would actually be dead. Jesus dies for you. He rises again. It's not that big a deal. But he's alive though. Like, but he lived past that. He already knew what he was doing, that he was going to survive. Yeah, but he died for me. It was really painful for him. It's like, okay then. Okay. I don't know why that pertains to me, that Jesus died. If he did die for me, like, all right, cool. I still don't see you anywhere. I still haven't met you. Like I'm supposed to take heaven seriously. Like I'm supposed to take it seriously. Like I'm supposed to take Bible characters seriously enough that I'm supposed to act like I want to meet them. Same goes for Jesus. Like, that I'm supposed to take that seriously enough that I have to act like I want to meet him. When it's like, if I ran into Jesus, but it's like, I guess Christians would purport that when you get to heaven, you'll like it so much that you'll just be like in the presence of Jesus that you won't even remember what happened on earth and everything will be better again. And like, if that happens to me, that I get to heaven and all of a sudden am head over heels about meeting Jesus, like, I don't want to be in that place. I don't want to go to heaven then, because something weird went down. They maybe roofied me on the way in, that like I now have this overwhelming ecstasy about meeting Jesus, something that I don't, something that I wasn't concerned about before. Like, that would be the definition of losing your mind on drugs or something. But the idea that I'd want to meet Simon Peter in heaven is obviously ridiculous. What could possibly motivate me to want to talk to Simon Peter when I've never met him? Like, I'm not friends with this guy. I'm not friends with him. He's not involved. He didn't ask me how my day was or anything. Like, and also, I am automatically not supposed to care about any shit he did on Earth because that's the place we're supposed to say is insignificant. So why would I care about any stories of what he did on Earth, especially when I've heard them a million times? What interest would I have in talking to this guy, Simon Peter, that like what's going to happen with me and him? Are we friends already? Are we like buddies? Are me and Simon Peter friends? Me and Moses? Like, I would maybe be excited to talk to Moses like once or twice, but seeing as that I'm in heaven for infinity, like I will probably run into him 5,000 times. And after the first couple, it'll be like, oh, hey, how was your day? Do you sing Holy, Holy, Holy at the altar? Yeah, I did for the last 72 hours, and then I was going to go home and watch TV for a few minutes. And then if you want, me and Simon Peter are going to tag team this bitch later. It's going to be fucking sweet. But that guy's wild. Like, you'd be surprised. No, yeah, he's really filthy stuff. It's insane. Yeah, no, but I love hanging out with him. He's a great guy. Um, but so like you get that option to just like do whatever at the point you're in heaven, like finally cut loose. That's not the vibe I get. It sounds like it's more serious in heaven. Heaven sounds like a serious place. But it's just that all groups of people are very fucking serious, and it's like to the point like Christians are like they're more concerned with you taking them seriously than they are in like trying to save you from hell. And but that's what doesn't add up about that, or at least one of the things. That's one of the things that doesn't add up to me about that. That's the only one. I mean, there's a number of things that don't add up to me about the Christian story, but like one of the things is that they're kind of ignorant about that people are going to hell for eternity. Like, I don't think people in the church take that seriously, but they're supposed to. And I think that as a result, it's met with a lot of sarcasm within the church. Like people in Christian environments talk sarcastically to each other, way more so than in the world. Like people in Christian environments are naturally sarcastic, and I think it's because they have to meet some of what they're hearing with sarcasm. Like take it seriously, but not like the idea that everybody's going to hell for eternity. I don't think that people like fully believe this in their heart. They kind of speak sarcastic. It's things like this that they hear, like Christian congregation members hear from the authority of the church, that they kind of scoff at a little bit, just in their head, not to each other. It's just that people don't take that seriously enough, like for real, that they're out, because people aren't in the street telling you to not go to hell forever. They're concerned with you taking them seriously for you. Like I'd say Christians are more concerned with other people on the outside looking at them and thinking that they're cool, thinking that they're special, like, or that they're serious, they're taking something seriously, like, see, I'm taking it serious. But it's like gay people this is a similar thing that plays out. It's across establishment gay, like the more political sided gay, like establishment, that they are more successful at circulating their agendas. Establishment gay that has more restricted views of what a gay person can be. They are also like, there's a lot in the gay community that's more about you taking gay. It's about you taking gay seriously more so than them actually being gay. Like them being gay, a lot of in for like establishment gay takes a back seat. It's more about that you take seriously, and if you don't, then oh, you have to. It's just about that when you approach the reality of gay people, that you have to take it seriously at all times. Like, this is very serious, and like, are you not taking it seriously? You have to take this seriously. And there's all these things, like these groups of people, including Christians, that you're like, you have to take this seriously because like people's beliefs, or it's like because there's nothing, because a belief is untouchable. I don't say anything about people's beliefs. I don't care what people's beliefs are. And we respect all beliefs. Like, I wouldn't never be against somebody's belief. That is totally untouchable, totally uncriticizable that somebody believes something. But because I wouldn't dare touch seriousness, I wouldn't dare come close to saying that we're not supposed, like, seriousness is serious. I would not approach that. But my message to you is, there are better things, there are more mature ways of approaching life, such as trying to help people out, or like having a window of communication open so that people are understood, like more openness, connectedness, understanding, rather than the seriousness of my friend group, because this is how everything plays out. Like, you have a family, and then this is very serious because you're then closed off from everybody, and people make themselves closed off from you because people are taking your seriousness too seriously, more so than you want. Like, more so than you want your seriousness to be taken seriously. But if you're like a loner, then people take that seriously too much. They don't talk to you because they're like, oh, he's being a loner, and we need to protect that for him because he really stands behind that. He's very serious. Like, but there's just like there's no open critique of other people, because it's understood you have to take their friend group seriously, you have to take their career seriously. And this is not a better way of organizing society, is one where it's just the importance of closed off groups at all these large or small levels. Like, there's a particular closed off group level of just like your four friends, and then there's of you working for Google, and like the seriousness with which you have to take that. You have to take it so seriously that you start practicing like their ideology, more liberal. Like, but it's serious like that. Google takes themselves seriously, and they expect you to take them seriously. They expect, like, Google has so much influence that they're like making other people just take their ideology seriously in every way that they can. They're using their influence to do that, to say, well, it's Google's ideologies that are to be taken seriously, but the seriousness version of it named Google, the flavor of seriousness named Google, that's what you should take seriously. But that's what every group is doing, is like, our version of seriousness, this is a serious group, and our version of seriousness has the real seriousness. This is what's really special. That's every religion. The real special people are in our religion, because this is the real serious shit. This is what's actually serious. This is the version of seriousness, because our seriousness is better than everybody else's seriousness. But I wouldn't touch someone's beliefs. I don't cross into that. I always make sure that I'm a bitch to the way that things play out, so that nobody criticizes what people take seriously. I make sure that I always take seriousness seriously. I'm always never crossing a belief or saying that a belief is wrong. But it's like, you could believe that you are Captain Crunch, and this is a very stupid belief. Like, beliefs can be stupid. We should go after them because some of them are stupid as shit. But it's just that we live in this very serious society that recognizes the importance of seriousness, so that we remain separated and divided from each other, because these messages just come from the top. These messages, but that you're in the rat race, and these games are just set up from establishments that have too much power, that are just manipulating the masses to think that they are rising up in some sort of game, some competition, or that they can invent something to like make themselves the most serious. But it's just that the reason I bring it up is because people wouldn't define this as serious, or they don't recognize that this is something that's at the heart of all of this. It's seriousness. But your answer to me would be like, well, obviously we take things seriously. I love Jesus. I love my religion. I don't talk to him because it's serious. I know that it's to be taken seriously because I love Jesus. But like, you recognize that there has to be something holding seriousness together, so that you know for sure that something is being taken seriously, because something has to be taken seriously, right? So the excuse is love. Like, we take that seriously because love is serious, is because we love each other, even though it's like, the seriousness of love would be different. If you continually loved somebody, it would be because of a changing nature of the relationship. You wouldn't love something that is always not changing because you are changing. Like people are different from each other. But there has to be something at the heart of what's serious, like, oh, because this relationship is serious because it works, or it doesn't because it works, you know. Because going to work is serious. Like, oh, well, are you going to work? Go to work so that we make it work, so that going to work here, this works because there's success and money being generated off of people going to work here, because that works. And when the second it goes out of business, nobody's working there anymore because it works. The environment, the reality works, like the car wash that you started, it works as long as it's working. But you go there, and then it can employ people that can also work, and they work there, and it works for them. And then when you're in a relationship that's continuing, then it works. But when you get out of it, you're like, that doesn't work for me, because because it doesn't work, because it has to work, because things have to work. I mean, that's a related idea. Like, things have to work. And this is like, you go to your job, you wear your uniform, you wear a suit or whatever, to show that you are working, to show that you're serious, to show that it works, because it's only things that work that are serious. Like, it's when something works, you're kind of implying that it's serious, or the other way around. When something is serious, or like, it's as long as it works, is that you're taking it seriously. But it's like, it's love that's at the heart of it. But love is over sensationalized because media over the last 50 years, it's just that love is it's just that things need to be, something has to be taken seriously, right? Because what are you going to do? Be against seriousness? You have to take something seriously. But what I'm saying to you is that seriousness isn't that great. It's just an artistic bent. It's just a way of running the world. It's just a kind of game. It's like Monopoly as opposed to categories. It's a kind of game with certain rules. It's not that it is important. That's a related idea that goes along with comes with the territory of seriousness. It's important. Importances and like constant improvement. There are games for these kinds of things being important, and these are not better than other games. Monopoly is better than categories. I apologize, but it's like, it is better. Seriously, we see seriousness as better than other games. That's why we do it so much. Like, it would be like seriousness is Monopoly, like, especially the way that capitalistically we take things seriously. We take Monopoly pretty seriously for as a country, seeing as that we made a million different versions of it to try to expose and exploit what this point of reference is in our lives. What is the game of Monopoly? We really want to enunciate this. This is why we come up with a million different versions of it. You're like, oh yeah, we really like, let's come up with all kinds of different definitions, points of reference for Monopoly. Let's really communicate this is totally what we're about. And so America takes Monopoly more seriously than they do categories. That's why it's like Monopoly is almost cultural. Categories isn't. Categories is more particular, it's more nuanced. But like, take it seriously, take your life seriously. And so it's love that's at the heart of it, because, well, something has to be taken seriously. But I'm telling you, no, it doesn't have to, because it's just a way of doing things. But that I would go about not recognizing the way that things play out. Obviously, probably for the rest of my life, people will be involved with articulating themselves through the medium of seriousness. But like, let's wear this away. Let's bring awareness to it in order to critique it, and so that people can recognize that they are being serious, because that's what really makes you serious, is when you don't recognize you're being it. But like, it's kind of a naiveness that you would continue being serious about something that isn't actually to be taken seriously. Like I if I can see through it, like there's nothing you can do to convince me that it's serious because I can already tell that it's not. Is the problem with some people, is the problem with people maybe who vengefully need to have the best story or something, people who don't take things seriously. Like there's people that naturally don't, and then they don't want to hear about your shit, but then they have to live in, like, if I don't take things seriously, I still have to live in the world where everybody is, and then it makes me like the person, it can kind of make you to be the person that takes things the most seriously in front of other people if they're all, if you're like separating yourself from them enough to be like, I'm not taking your thing seriously, like, do you then take yourself too seriously that you don't involve yourself in anybody else's seriousness? But I think that this is a lie. I think that it's the case that unfortunately there are some people that are more of an outcast, but I don't think that I'm one of those. I don't think that I'm really an outcast. I don't think so. I think that I could spend some time convincing myself of that, but like it can kind of make it so that you are the one who has to be boring and serious to everybody else when you are just trying to speak in other people's terms all the time rather than say your own. Because if your terms are at a level of seriousness that's just relatively a lot less serious than other people's, like you just see everything as a game or everything as a joke and everything is a joke to you, you would treat everybody's seriousness with sarcasm. If you live there, then you just kind of maybe operate at a higher level, and like there is truth to things, like there's truth to that rather than like this is like I'm not saying that that's something I'm guessing at so much. I'm being serious. I'm being serious, like that I think that that's true. I think that there's people that operate at a higher level and then this causes them to more intelligently see through people's serious games, but then they have to talk in terms of other, but like if you're able to see everybody's games, then it just depends on how unlikable or disagreeable you are. Maybe I'm not so disagreeable. Like I would agree with other people's shit just to speak in their thing, just to be accepted by them. But then this would make it come across like I'm serious because I'm just so concerned with talking the way that they do that it would be like, oh, I'm not interesting. Whatever. I'm just making shit up. I'm now not involving personal things, but just like now I'm working out something, and I'm just talking to you about the nature of seriousness. And for some reason, I do want to go an hour, but I'll come close to it. Maybe I'll just go 57 minutes. There's nothing not serious about, but like people compare seriousness as like, well, I did 57 minutes. You have to take that seriously. But then there's another group of people that are like, oh, I made my art project 59 minutes. I'm part of the 59 club. And so, but you have to take it seriously because I did 2 minutes more. Like, but that's serious. It's not serious. But some people are like, well, 57 minutes meets the ideal artistic form of this. Like this, the archetype way of doing it is 57 minutes. And this because whoever Bonzo McGriff in the 1914 established this way of doing things, and that's the correct way of doing it. And he is Jesus, and so I'm part of the 57-minute club for making a thing 57 minutes long because like it's serious. What that guy's example, that guy was real. Like there was a serious, that guy and what he had to say, like he was. And so I guess you can take people seriously from the past, or you can put a lot of your identity in, like your faith in something for because of what some person established somewhere along the line. And that is where that's where you can derive seriousness from. But this is like, if you do that for a historical figure, then it's like this is somebody you've never met, and you have no idea what George Washington was taking seriously. Like if you're putting your faith in that our country was established by Benjamin Franklin and shit like that, like you don't know what they cared about really because you weren't there. And it's the same with the local news. Like you weren't there. You're not there. You also like don't know. You weren't there at that homicide when they're like, we're here at the corner of 16th and Concordia. and we're right here. Here we are. We were here. They act like they saw it happen, that they have the authority to deliver a story. They act like they have the authority of that they were the eyewitnesses. Like, look, we're because they were there 5 hours after it happened. Like, do they realize that being in the same place is not the same thing as having that happen to you? Or like that different activities carry out at different times, or that like a place isn't all of the activities that happened during the course of the last 200 years. Like a place isn't the just what happened there. That there are different times for different activities, or like different activities happen at different times. As local news realizes, they act like they saw all of these things. Like the newspapers report things as if they were there and shit like that. Or they're like, but they weren't there. They don't know the nuances of the situation. They don't know the particulars of the relationship between the two people that were shooting each other. They don't know what the fuck went down. They don't know the inside language of those two people. They're not there. They're not them. And like, but I guess you could make that you're like George Washington took these things seriously, but it's really you taking your thing seriously and saying it was George Washington. Like if you're like, he was founding these principles. It's no, it's you because George Washington's not around. You are taking what you want seriously and involving who or whatever you want. Like if you're gonna just craft a seriousness for yourself, for other people to hear, like, because George Washington combined with the Freemasons, and then Hirohito came over on the Mayflower, and these are the foundation. This is what's foundational to this collection of things is what's important in life, because this is what's serious. Like different people are sensational, they're sensations, and then they will come up with a story of seriousness. Like you should ultimately seek to find the story of seriousness that most articulates your sensational abilities, or like says the most about you, because it's only the collection of things that you find important. Because somebody in the world would be like, yeah, do you remember when Pol Pot was over in Vietnam, and like that caused financial crises in Europe or something? That was when the world changed. And that, me telling you that, is what makes my story real. Like there's people that'll do that, and then that's their version of seriousness, but it's particular to them. And I'd say that that's more interesting than some narrative you have to craft around yourself that is relatively more false to tell me that you're serious. Like it's really not the case that anybody needs to tell me that they're serious, because they already are. You're serious by being around. Like you're serious, like obviously you're saying something. This is serious. It's serious. Like people should take individual people more seriously and do things in the name of individuality. And thank you for listening. I will report back to you on my findings in the world. I will come back to you with a new set of whatever, and it will be very high maintenance or something like that. But talk to you later.